Look, I'm not saying I couldn't have been better. I'm not saying that an occasional, maybe disjointed moment of only weird games, I'm not saying it couldn't be my fault. I'm just saying that Seth and Nate have been making me think way too much, and it's making my job harder than it needs to be. The good news is, Seth's not even here today, so maybe I can handle just Nate's coaching. It's only weird games.
This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
The Chicago Bears are in a very bad place right now on a whole variety of levels. You don't like to see the pre-week 3 GM press conference. You don't like to see the quarterback who speaks at the podium and then asks for a redo in the locker room. You don't like to see anything you've seen on Bears film. So why am I going to try to convince you that this is actually a 3-point game? I don't know. I haven't decided yet. That's not my actual take. But, you know, it's the name of the show. Nate, I don't know if it's going to be a weird game, but it's been a weird week, and it's only Thursday as we sit here and record this. Do this live on the KCSN YouTube channel.
Yes.
And across, everywhere.
Yeah, come on, Josh. Come on. You know it's going to be weird. I don't know necessarily how, but of course it's going to be late. Of course it's going to be weird. Thank you all for
Look, this show officially starts at 4:35 to 4:40. Okay, we have flex schedule.
Yeah, right, exactly. And look, how do you think the conversation went? I mean, I know that's why people are here. The Bears are kind of on fire.
Not in a cool way.
Yeah, not in a cool way. Literal fire, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Poles, who I know quite a bit. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. But how do you think the conversation went? Because what I thought was really interesting was Charles Robinson from Yahoo, and I'm sure you may have saw this, but Mitchell Schwartz had this very interesting back and forth on Twitter about how do players want to be interpreted and why it gets to be bland. And, Charles Robinson's like, but you said it. Like, you said it. So do you think it was the team? Or do you really think it was Justin that said, nah, call him and bring him back in here? Actually, let me do it in front of my teammates. See that guy over there? That guy. It's on me, okay? It's on me, okay? Or do you think the team said, get your butt back out of this quarterback room and get in there and say something better than what the hell you just said? The hell are you doing?
If you haven't been on Twitter the last couple days, the messes in Chicago run deep, but the one we're talking about that I've alluded to that Nate has now given you the summary of is Justin Fields saying at the podium, he's thinking too much, and he's going, everything is more difficult for him this year, again, because of like overthinking in the pocket and all of that. Yeah. And that's why that was. He gave an answer that ultimately was, it could be the coaching. And that appropriately, in my opinion, created a bit of a firestorm of, the quarterback actually said the thing. I actually, look, here's my two hot takes from this, Nate. Okay. One is that he's right. I mean, he said that he said a true thing, and we're like, you can't say that true thing. Right. It's also partially on him, which he also said.
Right, which is Mitchell Schwartz's point, which is like, now you know why we say dumb things.
Right,
in front of cameras.
You should understand now why players lie, because they say the true thing, and it's a news cycle. I want them to say the true thing, and I also want to talk about it. That's what I prefer.
We want them to say the true thing all the time. You should always want that as fans, and kind of our role in this silly sport.
The other hot take is that I think Justin Fields was trying his best. That's what we played some of the audio from the original presser and then the locker room and all of that. I really do think he was trying to clean up some messes, even if the Bears were like, go clean this mess up, man. He wants to be the quarterback that says, it's on me. Even if there's a drop, it's on me. Correct. He said, you will never hear me blame the coaches or my teammates. We heard him blame his coaches hours prior. Yeah, maybe an hour prior.
Yeah.
So I think he is full of contradictions right now, both in terms of how to handle all of this and in terms of how to handle playing quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Because we'll get into a ton of Chiefs focused stuff. And Spag said two things today that were low key incredibly disrespectful to the Bears offense. And he was right also.
Mm-hmm.
But Nate, you actually watched some Bears tape for this week. I've seen the clips that have made the rounds, and it did not make me want more.
All right, guys. I want to be really quick here. Okay. I know Steph's not here. So I took it upon myself to give you a real preview after looking at the tape of the Chicago Bears. They do not block well. They do not tackle well. They have trouble covering even when they have the advantage that is 3rd and long. They did not sack Baker Mayfield. They rarely got pressure on him. Justin Fields' accuracy needs improvement. Even when there was a clean pocket, even when there was a receiver available to him, he was not always precise with the ball. More precise than he needs to be more precise than you hope or that you should expect from a starting quarterback. Obviously, the clips are out there. Luke Getsy, I'll give it to you, man. That first 15 on the first drive against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, great.
Really?
So I know you can coach because they go
Shocking.
right. I know they go right down the field and score a touchdown. So you're thinking, okay, they don't figured out some things from week 1 to week 2. They've actually done something that the Chiefs haven't done, which is obviously score a touchdown on their opening drive. So I know it's the adjustments that are the issue and the protection scheme that is an issue. And it doesn't feel like the Bears who have talented parts are nowhere near cohesive. So do you want me to tell everybody? I guess this has some fantasy implications, some betting implications based on my eyes and my evaluation of the Chicago Bears, because I was one of those people that thought they would be better. They also don't give DJ Moore a lot to do, which is
Did you see that mic'd up?
Which is wild. Go ahead, tell the audience. Josh.
There was just a mic'd up before that game, and I can't remember who it was he was talking to. It was former divisional rival or whatever, linebacker with Tampa, I think. And he was saying, "Man, I miss trying to tackle you, whatever. They're not using you right." And DJ Moore says, "Tell me about it." It's like that's just the state of affairs.
Yeah, and also the last thing that cannot be overstated. I know Justin Fields is getting a lot of criticism, and you could say a large portion of that is fair, accurate. Has anybody seen the Chicago Bears safeties?
You were teaching me before the show started.
Does anybody know the Chicago Bears safeties? Their safety play after watching
still there.
Sadly, I mean in spirit. Sadly, no. I cannot stress to you how bad this Bears safeties are in comparisons to their own quarterback. Okay. And this is also a bit like, whoa, like a bit shocking because I just got through watching the Chiefs secondary against the Jaguars yesterday on Wednesday because I wrote about that and just how disciplined and precise and like everybody knows their jobs or how it connects or relates to one another. The Bears don't appear to play elaborate coverages, and so Baker Mayfield kind of knew where to put the ball. And then also, when someone was open, the safeties didn't close angles, didn't make great tackles, kind of just not athletically posing. So as much as Chiefs fans may go into this game thinking like, man, Justin Fields has played really bad over 2 weeks, their safeties have been worse, categorically worse. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans had a field day, just an absolute field day where, hey, it's 3rd and 14 in the red zone. We're just going to let Mike Evans get behind us.
I don't understand. I don't know how it got this ugly this fast.
I don't know if they were playing. It doesn't appear that they were playing bracket coverage much. it didn't appear that they were doing anything pre-snap to post-snap where it's like, oh, okay, there's a little bit of rolling coverages or making one coverage appear a certain way and then it being another, which is what the Chiefs do. And we're going to get to that later. But the Bears secondary is bad. Okay? Bad. And now you add in what we would think is a healthier version of Travis Kelce, a Marquez Valdez-Scantling who is faster than Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and a better quarterback who not only can deliver the ball on time, but then can extend plays to throw the ball downfield. So if you see this occur in Sunday's game, just know that like there's a reason for that. And that is because the Bears don't have the greatest pass rush. In fact, it's almost non-existent, but they are not helped that even when they do get there, or they at least pressure the quarterback, there's nothing on the back end to make a good play. It's bad. So that's our film review, guys. The Chicago Bears, like we don't even have to worry about, I mean, their offensive line is a problem based on injuries, but mostly I just want to let everybody know that the Chiefs offense cannot have a better opportunity to get on track, to get in rhythm, to have a downfield passing attack. And if we think Isaiah Pacheco is going to play on Sunday, which is trending that direction, to have plenty of options to attack this defense.
I'm going to issue you a challenge, Nate.
Okay.
Tell me one thing you saw from the Bears. You went, that looks pretty good.
They have some interesting designs. Again, if they use their pieces better. Cole Kmet, their tight end, went from being awful to really good in like the second half. So look, their tight end can be a serviceable player if he chooses to block, if he chooses to run routes, if he chooses to catch the ball, if he chooses to help his quarterback in any way. Don't look in the first half, kids. I kept pausing and rewinding and saying, I thought Cole Kmet was good. And then I got reminded in the second half, oh, that's right, he is good. He just played a terrible brand of football. DJ Moore's good. He's still really, really good. It's just to your point, Josh, they don't really use him well or enough. Like he should be getting 10 targets a game. I'm sorry. Yeah, force feed that dude. To at least help out Justin Fields. And I really did like the first 15. I like the play script.
Yeah, you're right. You gave us that. You said the first 15 was good. So
I really liked how they went down the field. I was like, wow, what happened? So yeah.
Here's one little like just absolutely unhinged galaxy brain thinking way too hard to try to come up with a way that this isn't simple. We'll save our prediction stuff till the end. But if you're Justin Fields, Matt Eberflus, who is calling the defense again, and like the defensive coordinator has resigned, all the circumstances of that seem complicated and bad. So we'll figure it out over time. Doesn't really impact anything here.
Not gonna say nothing. Not gonna say anything. Do it.
But he literally resigned the week before the Chiefs, before they were going to play the reigning Super Bowl champions. He wasn't there in week 2 either. But just in terms of like dysfunction and all of the mess around all of this, where everyone with all 22 has been able to tweet out a clip of the Bears offense looking truly horrendous, the defense in that state of affairs, all of that. If you're Justin Fields and Matt Eberflus and you've been like the main character of NFL media this week because of your incompetence,
yes.
What do you have to hide? What do you have to hold back? Is there like this? We're walking into the saloon, guns blazing. It is bleep it. It is bleep it on both sides of the ball. It is bleep it on special teams. It's bleep it. What are they going to do? Fire all of us in week 3? So I don't think the Bears are a good football team. I know what kind of games the Chiefs predominantly play. It's up there because that's our logo and the name of the show. But I wonder if there's any element of we are going to throw everything we have. There is no use saving something for week 4 where there's just a little bit of, even if it's something as basic as a little extra motivational factor for the Bears. They do have professional NFL players who don't like getting embarrassed and being the butt of a joke for an entire season. They could go winless. They go 0-17. I don't know. But you're not going to like it. I don't know if that's anything.
Yes. And also Arrowhead Stadium,
Yeah.
national television, better head coach, better quarterback, a team that has a defensive coordinator,
Yeah.
a Hall of Fame tight end, all pro defensive lineman that's better than even Villa, who on one play just devoured Justin. So you're not wrong,
Eh.
but
I'm not wrong, but I'm also not trying to convince you, to be clear.
yeah, if they were playing the Cardinals,
Yeah.
the Giants,
Sure.
even the Jets, the Patriots. Come here, Deshaun Watson. Come into my bosom. But no, it's the team that is the Super Bowl champions at home. With their three best players. You could look, Kelly Nelson. God bless you. It technically on the schedule. Kelly's right. This is a trap game. They scheduled a mwah of a trap game because week 4 is Sunday Night Football versus the Jets.
Aaron Rodgers, baby.
Aaron Rodgers, prime time.
Yeah.
So
It's a great comment. It feels like a trap game, but I think the accurate statement is it feels like it should feel like a trap game.
yes. And so the point then becomes blitz this man to your heart's content in the first quarter. And if he holds up, then you adjust. But also, it's time for the Chiefs to be the team that people envisioned when the season began, right? It's time to be the team that you see the continuity on defense and you see the offense sort of blooming into like a newer version, even with much of the same characters. They should try to get up to 2 scores as quickly as possible because if you put Justin Fields in this offense in we have to pass situations, he can only do so much, even with Chase Claypool, even with DJ Moore, just because the offensive line cannot pass protect at a high enough level when you're down 2 scores and you're trying to come back. So if the Chiefs can start the game better than they did against the Lions and a whole lot better than they can start against the Jaguars as I'm talking about as offense and defense, even special teams like, muff a punt. If they can start better, then you could say it was supposed to be a trap game, but ultimately you actually performed the way you were expected to.
I want to talk about that Chiefs defense. I want to talk about the injuries right now that we haven't mentioned yet because there are a whole bunch of them showed up on Wednesday. And you've written about the Chiefs defense. I thought there were some fun things from Steve Spagnuolo today, who's really in a great groove press conference and play calling wise. Really a heater for him. And we'll talk about it right after this quick timeout.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
So first here, Nate, let's hit the injuries because as of today, Nick Bolton with a sprained ankle, Kadarius Toney, sprained toe, Richie James, which Andy Reid just said MCL on Wednesday. They did not practice on Wednesday. They were not scheduled. We don't have the official report today, but they didn't practice today.
Correct.
And then Isaiah Pacheco and Willie Gay, Pacheco with a hammy, Gay with a quad. They didn't practice, I'm sorry. Did they practice on Wednesday or were limited, or they did not practice at all on Wednesday? They were both on the field today, though.
Yes, exactly. So, it does help that Isaiah Pacheco and Willie Gay are back to practice today. We did see them. Nick Bolton could be a concern. So if that happens, then obviously the next guy would be Drew Tranquil. So he would go into that Mike linebacker role, a role that he spent much of training camp sort of
and
playing.
A few reps in Jacksonville, which Spags pointed out today.
That is true. Whenever the coach mentions 3 letters, it's usually not a good sign. So, Richie James could be out 2 to 4 weeks, would be my estimation right now. So what that leaves us with is Pacheco is expected to play, Isaiah Pacheco. Now, will he be as effective as he was last week when they actually handed him the ball? That's something we're going to have to monitor. With Kadarius Toney and the fact that he has a sprained toe and that he has not practiced, yesterday and today, they might not be with him on Sunday. So the Chiefs may go into Sunday's game without Nick Bolton and without Kadarius Toney. And look, I know we got to move on, but this was the issue, right? You don't want to sign Odell Beckham Jr. because he's old. Okay. DeAndre Hopkins costs too much. Understand. Adam Thielen. Guys, I don't know if you've watched Carolina. This man can barely get open. It's sad. So, hey, maybe they were right on Adam Thielen. You did draft Rashee Rice, but this was the biggest concern when it came to Kadarius Toney is could he play 17 games or 15 games? As I've said before on many platforms, Josh, if you don't practice during the week and you're not the quarterback, it's hard for you to have a role that Sunday. So if Kadarius Toney doesn't practice on Friday, it is more than likely that he will miss Sunday's game, which will be his first missed game this season. Obviously, we knew everything about what happened to him at training camp with the knee surgery. And you give him all the credit and you commend him for his availability being there on opening night. But we're 3 games into the season and another injury has sort of, you could argue has sort of paused his progression within the offense.
Which is a huge bummer just because you can see the vision and the path for him and what a fully healthy training camp and regular season would look like for Kadarius Toney would be so sweet. But it feels like a bad thing to bet on, and the Chiefs did kind of bet on it this offseason for all of the names you just mentioned. I will say in the super micro sense, I don't need to see Nick Bolton or Kadarius Toney on Sunday. I don't care. We have just disrespected the Bears to such an extent that
No, we've evaluated the Bears, Josh. We haven't disrespected them. They
can be both.
They are an 0-2 team. They have the same record as the Arizona Cardinals, who are trying to lose games. Fellas, give them an entertaining 55 minutes.
Yes.
And then lay down. Lay down.
They're nailing it, though. The Cardinals
are
nailing their assignment.
So great.
So I don't need to see either of those guys rush back. A little bit of me is excited to see what a full game of Mike Drew Tranquil would look like, just to see how that rotation comes together. He's going to have to keep seeing more snaps as the season goes on. Right. Maybe you could say something similar for Rashee Rice if he ends up getting some more snaps in Toney and Richie James's absence. I mean, we're talking about a team with 7 wide receivers now playing with 5. That hopefully tightens the rotation to some of the guys that you'd like to see get a little more work. Maybe it'll be a big Justin Watson day. I don't know. But I'm excited for the guys who could play in their stead. If this was a playoff game or a divisional game or the Bills game or whatever, I'd be a lot more nervous about it.
Yeah, and as we said before, the Chiefs are running a marathon. They want to play 20 games. So if you have some injury issues in September, you hope that it's not going to, sort of exacerbate issues when, as you mentioned, the games will matter more and more against obviously tougher, we assume, competition. The other thing too to keep in mind is that with Chris Jones, I'm not sure if his snap count is going to rise a ton against the Chicago Bears. I think the Chiefs will try to replicate much of what he did last Sunday against Jacksonville. So, I'd be a bit surprised if we went over 40 snaps against the Bears. But again, it could be a weird game. It could be, back and forth. Obviously, the conditions are going to be a little bit more normal. You're not going to be in, 1,000-degree heat. And at least he's played a game. And so he's felt some soreness, I'm sure. And now you're getting back into your normal groove of obviously playing on a week-to-week schedule now. But I don't think Chris Jones is going to all of a sudden play 75, 80% of the snaps, which is what he did a year ago.
Let me tell you the 2 things that Spag said today. He was great. Again, we can unpack a ton more, including what you've written about up on The Athletic. But he said two things that were specifically reflective of the Bears that I thought was kind of funny, and again, maybe a little bit telling. He said there are a lot of unknowns in our opinion against the Bears, meaning that offense it could do anything.
I don't know, guys. I don't know what I'm looking at.
That's what that.
Well, it's an issue of like, well, this is not what they ran last year. It's not even like a
Right.
version of it. Like,
Right, what you talked about, like the small sample size. Quote, not really sure which way they're gonna go. Up, down, who knows? And the other thing I think was later. I don't know if I pulled the exact quote, but talking about what. Oh no, yeah, it was. Hey, so if you don't know what the Bears are doing, how do you prepare? It's like, well, we're focusing on ourselves. We're turning back to look at what we do, which I paraphrase as the Bears aren't doing anything interesting or scary. They are just this is a scout team week. Like this is really let's hone our skills against an opponent that we do not. If they do something wild in week 3, it'll be because it's the first time they've seen it at all, and so we'll just have to be ready for it. I guess that's how I interpreted all of it.
It's such good points because, we go and again we have the ability to look back on last week, right? Where hey, it is a common opponent, it is a conference worthy contender in Jacksonville, and we know their skill personnel. And whoo, did you see what they just did with Calvin Ridley? We got to hunker down, we got to really like grind and say how we want to handle this 3 receiver set, which they obviously did at a very high level. Did he name anybody? Josh? He didn't name a single
He didn't
player.
say a number. He didn't say a number.
He didn't name anybody. Cole Kmet can't even get a shout out. They are so dysfunctional that like Spags is just sitting there like, in my mind I was like, okay, I know what the stats say, and so I don't need to ask them about that. I ended up actually asking them about their zone coverage, which
is fascinating,
which I believe is where they've actually improved the most in the secondary, because everybody knows Spags is going to run man-to-man quite a bit, but if they can do man-to-man and zone at a high level, then it gets now we're getting up into like college level, football schematic type stuff. And the best part of it was no one asked him a single question, Josh, to my memory, about blitzing. No one asked him this because we already know. Like, we're not going to waste your time. You're not going to waste our time. We already know. Justin Fields has never played an Arrowhead. And now you tell him, who's the right tackle, Josh? Who the left tackle? Who are his tackles? Who are they?
Not sure.
Who are they? I'm gonna look at the depth chart.
I can't open another tab. My computer will freak out.
It's not pretty, guys. It's not pretty. I mean, it's not, because their original left tackle just went on IR in Braxton Jones. I mean, I really liked Darnell Wright's tape.
Yeah.
It's not gone well. Who are his tackles? Like, quick game. Okay? Quick game. And then get to the quicker game, okay? Like
the quickest game.
The quickest quick game you can put out there, because it's loud and he's gonna blitz you. And Chris Jones exists. So within all that, it's amazing that one of the more statistical anomalies, at least so far this season, is that the Chiefs probably shouldn't blitz Justin Fields, because like he actually has. It's not a great completion percentage, but he's completing close to 58% of his passes when not blitzed. He's thrown 3 interceptions when not blitzed. Again, this is kind of to your point, Josh. Like, there are multiple receivers running routes. He's not sure where to go with the ball because of the coaching or what they want him to. I don't know if it's the reads. I don't know if it's like how he's supposed to sort of predetermine where he wants to look first after the ball is stopped based on what the defense is doing. Who knows? Already through 2 games, the Chiefs are the 8th highest blitz team. And they're not blitzing as much out of necessity, like in week 1 without Chris Jones, as they did more as a luxury in week 2. So all I'm trying to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is the stats say don't blitz Justin Fields. And of course, if you blitz and you don't get home, he has the legs to turn a negative play into a really positive play for the Bears offense. Problem is, they don't have him running.
Right. At all. Like almost
They
at all.
called one designed run. One designed run against the Buccaneers. I'm sorry.
I think that's 3 on the season now, by the way. It was not like it was a week 2 change. It's just barely run at all.
So again, statistically, you should not be blitzing this man. You should be having this guy read coverages pre and post snap and see if he and his receivers can be on the same page consistently down after down after down. Problem is, he's Steve Spagnuolo and he wants to break your coverage rules by blitzing. So I don't know. I mean, but Josh, he didn't name nobody. He didn't name a player.
In a show of solidarity with the Bears, I screwed up and accidentally unplugged my microphone. Do I still sound like I did a second ago?
Yes.
Fantastic. Then the dysfunction is not going to get any further than that. Let's talk about some of what you've written, and I was so tickled by the question and answer that you referred to at the end of Spags' presser today. Again, he just had a bunch of I thought really good stuff that we can unpack some. But read along on theathletic.com if you'd like for Nate's piece on what the Chiefs defense has done. Seth also, again, not here with us today, and then ChiefsFan.substack.com. He's got a Trent McDuffie film review out there. And I know the Trent McDuffie love is well represented across KCSN, as it should be, because we know ball. But tell me a little bit about, or at least give the opening thesis of your piece on the Chiefs defense and what you found interesting there.
For Chiefs fans who really want to understand why the defense is playing really well, you can kind of trace it back to last year, which is what I did. But also, because Chris Jones comes back, we have a legitimate sample size to work with, right? Like the farther we get away from opening night, I don't know how relevant it's going to be just because Chris Jones is back on the team. So as long as he's healthy, we have enough characters and enough data to pull from. With offenses who are capable of throwing the ball downfield, like Jacksonville, like Cincinnati, if they get things in track, hey, even like Chicago, if they had 2 good receivers and a pretty good quarterback and an actual cohesive offense. The thing you should watch when the Chiefs play on Sunday is how many times does Spags use the dime personnel, because it is one of the most sophisticated parts of the defense. And in a weird way, they kind of stumbled upon it late last season. And it actually was the reason they had a pretty, impressive turnaround from the defense's perspective from the second half of the season. When they are in dime, it is hard for the offense to know what the Chiefs are going to do, because they could play man, they could play zone, they could play match zone, they could bracket receivers, 2 of them, because you have 6 DBs on the field. So it's not just taking one option away. They could bracket actual 2 receivers in and work off that. Justin Reed can cover a tight end, but he could also blitz you. Snead could be the nickel cornerback, but he could also blitz you. Where's Trent McDuffie? Trent McDuffie could be anywhere. He could be playing outside. He could play inside. So he has a little bit of versatility and flexibility. And even though Juan Thornhill now plays for the Cleveland Browns, they have inserted Mike Edwards to keep this personnel package in place. And even though I thought Mike Edwards struggled in training camp, he's actually turned it around and been very, very solid in the regular season. So what this means is, if the quarterback has a tougher time predetermining what the coverage is, then he has to at least spend a second or 2 with the ball in his hands as the play is starting, just figuring out what the disguise is. And then the problem with that is, if the Chiefs know you're passing the ball, then it's up to Chris Jones to find his matchup. And if he wins his one-on-one matchup, that coverage and that world star like wrecking crew capabilities is kind of their peanut butter and jelly now, because and I have the play in the article. It's Chris Jones's first sack. They are in dime. It's not a long distance, but it's a reasonable one. They're throwing the ball on 3rd down. Trevor Lawrence thinks he's going to get man. It's not man. and now Chris is wrapping him up. That's how quick this game is, kids. And it's like, for all the disgust of the Bears situation and the way they're playing, the sport does a great job reminding you of how terrifying it is to play quarterback at certain points, even if you're a really good one, like Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence was sped up and he couldn't tell where to throw the football because the Chiefs coverage was that good and Chris Jones was just somewhere. So I have to like be mindful of where he is, and he's scaring me and I have to throw the football, and I just threw the ball so high that my receiver ran the most literal post route I've ever seen, Josh. The coaches say, run the route till you get to the post. Get your face mask to the post. And Calvin really did that.
He really did it. He really did it.
He really did it. So the best part in all of this is they don't have a weakness in their secondary. Yeah. And they're starting to not have a weakness in their pass rush because you know what the protection scheme is, because they're going to shade to Chris's side. So that gives FAU obviously a one-on-one that he can win on third down to get his first half sack. You can have obviously George Karlaftis get his one-on-ones. Mike Dana can now rush inside, and the guard has to worry about Mike Dana's speed, but also what if he does a stunt with Charles Omenihu in week 7 or with Chris Jones in week 3? It is so weird, and I didn't write about it, Josh, but I know this is a great point. We all think the Chiefs linebacking core is pretty good. Mm-hmm. Perhaps the best in the Steve Spagnuolo era.
Almost certainly.
And yet the Chiefs defense gets actually better if you take 2 linebackers off the field.
It's amazing.
Like it's
telling.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing that you're like, hey, our most athletic guy, Willie Gay, go over there.
Bench.
Go over there on third down. See you on the next series. You know, it's just it's a weird thing, but guys, you know, to reference the statistics from it, they're one of the more efficient defenses in the dime. They play it at the third highest level right now in terms of snaps. They've had 33 snaps in the dime, and that's both against a run-heavy team in the Detroit Lions and a pass-heavy team, obviously, against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they already have 4 of their 5 sacks this year coming from the dime, and they already have forced a turnover, Trip McDuffie's forced fumble against the Detroit Lions in the dime. So that is the key for not just this game against the Bears, but kind of, I think, throughout the entire season. Like, could the Chiefs possibly get to a point where they have a personnel grouping that is not exactly the same as like the Legion of Boom? Because once the Legion of Boom got you in third and long, you knew what the coverage was and it didn't matter. And I just wonder if the Chiefs feel like if everybody stays healthy and Chris plays at superstar level, we get to dime, we actually dictate the terms just as much as the offense, because we know you have to throw the ball and we know we're going to get pressure on the quarterback.
Being able to steal the metaphor or whatever, to hold the chalk last as a defense with some confidence, while having the gravitational pull of Chris Jones, like you already laid out, all of the adjustments you have to make, knowing that he's there. You have a bunch of guys who this is not going to end up in another contract discussion, I promise. but with Matt Dickerson, you got a bunch of guys that are going to have to figure out who can get a one-on-one matchup and then win in that moment. With Chris Jones, suddenly you have 4 guys with good matchups who could win at any given moment, including Chris Jones getting doubled. Like, it's a thing he does commonly. It makes everyone else's life so much easier. It's a fascinating point about the linebackers. The defense actually gets better when they leave the field in these packages, in these situations. The safety group was supposed to get worse without Juan Thornhill. And you mentioned with Mike Edwards, I haven't seen that it has. It might not have gotten, I'm not saying it's gotten better without Thornhill.
Yeah, but it hasn't gotten worse. No, I agree with you.
It's just as sustainable, it seems. The corners are better, and they're the same guys as last year. It's just they're now in year 2. I think we talked about this some on Monday, and then maybe you can give a little bit of what the conversation with Spags today was in terms of the sort of quarterback eye zone versus match zone and versus man and all of that, and then we'll take our second little timeout and come back and talk about the offense some. But there's so much talent, so much interesting schematic stuff, and so much stability at every level of the defense that it's just fun. I'm just having a good time watching the Chiefs defense. It's been a long time since that's been undeniably true. I'm having more fun watching the Chiefs defense and the Chiefs offense right now, and that is crazy.
That is in the Patrick Mahomes era. Let's not forget that too. Like Patrick Mahomes is healthy, and still playing quarterback at a high level. The funny part in all this too is, you know, we as a collective media asked Dave Tobe today, hey, why didn't you kick the field goal early in the first half? And he's like, well, thankfully Tommy did the job the right way. We got him down at the 1 yard line because our defense, we just trust that like you can't go 99 yards on us. And so you might see a little bit more of that because of all these different reasons. But one of the best plays in this game is the idea that I believe it's the fourth down play. The essentially, you know, Trevor Lawrence's last play. Hey, I think I have man. And to a degree, it is man, but it isn't. It is the cornerbacks pointing to one another and saying, he's going into your area now, he's yours. Now I drop in the zone if I'm Joshua Williams, keeping everything in front of me. But if he wants to pass the ball behind me on a deep over route, I'm right there. I really think I can make the play. And on the front side, you might have L'Jarius Sneed in a legitimate one-on-one with Calvin Ridley where he's not going to leave him. They are playing through 2 games more sophisticated coverages than they were in week 2 last year. And that is the benefit of having all of the young players become legitimate NFL players last season. And they're still on their rookie contracts in their second season. And they're only going to get better because they're only going to play more often. You have Justin Reed, who now is communicating with, you know, Brian Cook, and they're doing a very good job of keeping, again, everything in front of them. So even the one deep completion that Trevor Lawrence had to Christian Kirk, Brian Cook makes a game-saving, touchdown-saving shoestring tackle. And I will tell you that right now, the Chicago Bears safeties would not have done that. They just wouldn't have. Christian Kirk could still be running if he was going to play the Chicago Bears last Sunday. Do you understand that Mike Evans is not a burner? He was burning them. I just can't overstate that enough. I'm just like, how many deep routes can MVS run? Because, or you put one of the safeties in true conflict and say, here's Justin Watson, here's, you know, MVS, both running deep. And all of a sudden, there's a giant void in the middle of the field for Travis Kelce. It's not that complicated, guys. But in this point, the Chiefs defense made Trevor Lawrence think. And if they can do that, with him having plenty of skill position players at his disposal, it should bode well as the season goes along, because I only tend to think that the coverages are going to get even more complex, even more diabolical, you should say, in some extent, because you know, they can look like they're blitzing and then they'll back out. They can look like they're not blitzing and they are. And at least as of right now, you could make an argument that the Chiefs have the best dime personnel in the NFL because they can do a multitude of things and they tackle well. So even if they get beat initially, they're not having 7-yard plays turn into 20-yard plays or touchdowns.
It's so much fun. And I'm also excited to talk about where the offense ends up, but the defense is such a cool place. We'll talk about the offense and give our predictions on the other side of this brief message from Tucker Franklin.
Wow, it's an honor to be on this program, truthfully. And I got to tell you about our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm no Seth, but, you know, we're back with another week of football. And DraftKings Sportsbook is keeping us up to date on the NFL action with great offers every single game day. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Throw 5 down on any of this week's epic matchups and walk away an instant winner. And DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every single game day this September. Football's more fun when you're in on the action, so download the app now and use code KCSN at signup. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. With code KCSN, The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Licensee partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles, Louisiana. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Back to you, Josh.
Look, man, you're no Seth, and I didn't mean that as an insult. You said it. It sounded self-deprecating, but I think you earned it. So, Nate, on the offensive side, we've talked about how the Bears are a beautiful opponent for a get-right game.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, as you and Seth have both written about this week, you up on The Athletic, Seth over on the Chief of the North newsletter, it's been self-inflicted wounds for the Chiefs offense that have really been the biggest culprit. We heard from Juwan Taylor today, which was interesting. We can get into that as much as we want. But when you did take that pass, I mean, we've done some diagnostics on week 1 and week 2. We can still look back at that if you've got something that you think is interesting and prescriptive of what's going forward here. But week 3, you get the Bears. Why am I not feeling super confident in a 30-plus point performance from the Chiefs offense?
That's a great question. I get the sense that they just have to be better on first down. I know that sounds simple and, it might be too simplistic, because I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but everybody knows the Juwan Taylor situation. Obviously, he spoke about it today. They're clearly working on it. But as a whole, they have to be better on first down. And I think part of that is because they chose to not prioritize and run against the Jaguars. Now you can make an argument that, hey, the Jaguars have a pretty good run defense. You still have to be balanced to some degree to keep the veil of, uncertainty and unpredictability to your advantage. The turnovers are starting to become an issue, Josh, as you know. But I think the reason that they're having their struggles is because Travis Kelce, as we talked about on Monday, not fully himself, but good enough to have a gravitational pull for, Kadarius Toney on the outside, for, Sky Moore to have arguably his best game as a receiver. If Kelce feels a little bit better this week and you get into a more of a groove because he's actually played an NFL game this season with the rest of his teammates, I just think the biggest concern that I would have for them is, are you moving the ball forward on first down? Because for the first time, in my opinion, they don't have an offense that's fully operational on 3rd and long. And I don't know if people are willing to admit that or willing to acknowledge it. But there are 2 games worth of tape. There are 2 games worth of tape where I'm not sure the Chiefs need to get behind the sticks much. The offensive line is doing a very good job in terms of pass block win rate. They are number 1 in the league currently right now through next gen stats and obviously the tracking data. Problem with that is they have not found a way to win on 3rd and long the way they normally have, which I think the more easier thing to do is to get better on first down, to make 2nd and manageable, to be 3rd and have a true advantage. And one of the greatest throws of Patrick Mahomes' career was against the Detroit Lions when it was 3rd and I believe 15 right before halftime. And he had to split basically the version of 2 atoms to get the ball to get the ball to MVS, to get the ball to Marquez Valdez-Scantling downfield. Okay? Like, you can't count on that all the time, or you can't count on it as much as I think the Chiefs want to admit. So they should run the ball a little bit more. I think Mahomes, from an operational standpoint, is doing pretty well, but he could be a little bit better. I know Seth wrote about that last week. And I think much of that theme is going to be consistent in his review of Patrick Mahomes this week. But they have to get to third and manageables and not do what they did the first third down, which is, I kind of wanted to ask Matt Nagy about that, but I was like, I don't even know if you can, like, the ball. How did the ball end up in was it Donovan's hands? How did the ball end up in Donovan's hands on the first third down, coach? How?
Yep.
So, hey, but they learned their lesson. They went for it on fourth down. They handed the ball to Pacheco. So
His hand in the dirt.
it was
Made me feel feelings.
Yeah. So if you feel like you're not going to turn the ball over as much, and it is fascinating to see people talk about Noah Gray in the comments. Shout out to Brent. But just get to 2nd and 6, 2nd and 7 instead of 1st and 15 because Javon Taylor was false starting again.
Something that, Nagy was obviously asked about some of that today, and I did think it was interesting for him to point out. I think Reed also mentioned this maybe Monday or Wednesday, that hey, sometimes you call an RPO and the Patrick Mahomes chooses the pass, and it looks like you called another passing play and have refused to run the ball on first down. There are layers to that, but I, generally speaking, would like to give Patrick Mahomes the chance to make the final decision in real time when there's no more speaker access in his helmet and all of that. Like, I'm perfectly happy for Patrick Mahomes to be the guy that, using the same metaphor, but like who has the chalk at the end, right?
Yes.
Because you have a chance to make that decision there. I also, I'm trying to figure out how I can phrase this without betraying my brand or saying something I don't really believe in. What I can say confidently is I love watching Isaiah Pacheco run. Like one of the most, I'm trying to figure out how to be hyperbolic, one of the most fun runners in recent memory in modern NFL, current, not history, but currently. Just the way, his style. I'm not saying he's the best runner, the best vision or anything, but the way he moves is electric and almost looking electrified. Like he's a little jittery. It's so powerful. It's so high speed. It's so sped up. It's awesome. That's something you want to have in your offense. You want to be able to say, hey, let's just give this bloodthirsty Energizer Bunny the football and just tell him to try
4 yards.
4 yards, and hey, man, you don't get bonus points for running through a defender, okay? So, like, you can run past or around. You don't get plus 10 if you put your face in the middle of somebody's numbers, right? That's just, I love how he plays. And I would love for Patrick Mahomes to get to live on 2nd and 4 a little more often, Like those, don't run the ball just for the sake of running the ball. Don't run the ball so you get to 2nd and 9 and 2nd and 8 over and over again. I want Patrick Mahomes to have every chance in the world to throw the ball on first down. I want to see that. But when you have a moment where your passing offense over these 2 games where it has been disjointed and inconsistent, and sometimes the ball gets there and then it keeps going through the hands of the receiver and then it goes the other direction. Like when that more explosive and honestly more important part of the offense isn't smooth and isn't easy, even I would love to see a handoff to Isaiah Pacheco that gives you 5 or 6 easy yards. Nagy mentioned today, it's good for the offensive line to get into a groove, but also it's a playoff for Mahomes. I mean, it is an opportunity to not have to do everything in the pocket and escaping and not be Superman every time out there.
Right.
They have to run the ball well for it to matter at all. If you're running the ball at 2 yards a clip, throw it every play. I at that point, who cares? But it seems like it's been there on some occasions, and they haven't been able to capitalize on that.
And the thing that, let me see if I can find this stat real quick. But the thing that I really think they should try to lean into is this is through Next Gen Stats. Isaiah Pacheco has carried the ball 12 times, or he carried the ball 12 times for 70 yards, obviously against the Jaguars. Despite facing 8 or more defenders in the box, 41% of his carries. That is the 2nd most behind Derrick Henry in week 2. And he's still having a pretty good success rate, even when there are 8 or more defenders in the box. Now, part of that is slanted, of course, because of the 4-minute offense they had to run in the fourth quarter, but they still were successful, even when the Jags knew they were running the ball. So now it's tough that he's dealing with the hamstring injury. But again, if he practiced today, if he practices tomorrow, he is expected to play. Can I make one comment for the Chiefs? Can we make one request?
Oh yeah, can we? We're gonna like submit this to them officially.
Yeah. Somebody
Yeah.
send this. Somebody send this to the Chiefs social media team, or operations team, or video team. Did you see the Bijan Robinson Sky Cam highlights?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Kids, he the first player I'd have ever said had Hall of Fame talent before he ever got drafted. Because when you watched BJ Robbins in college, you were just like, Lord, I know we say we shouldn't draft running backs in the first round. Lord, I will obey you. But sometimes I get tempted, Lord. And his name is Bijan. So if you haven't seen it, it is one of the most immaculate. Just put a little NFL Films like score over it. But it's Bijan, from the Sky Cam, just cutting dudes like freaks of nature. They're like the Green Bay Packers have a freak defense. He ran through 4 of them. So what I'm asking the Chiefs to do is to put the same Sky Cam in Arrowhead, and instead of look at all these cuts, it's look at all these run overs.
Yes,
from Isaiah Pacheco.
Yes.
Like in terms of the style of like they play the same position, they are not the same players.
No,
you want to see contact with Isaiah Pacheco. Whereas with Bijan, you're like, look at the feet, the footwork, the ankle bend. Oh my God, So, I'm sure there'll be 4 bears surrounding Isaiah Pacheco, and I'm sure he's just gonna blast right through them. So that's all I'm saying. But
if we could get like a steady cam on Pacheco's helmet or something to where you could just sort of see that, it would be like one of those like VR roller coasters that you have at some, like arcades or whatever. You're just but it's like going through a haunted house, stuff's jumping out in front of you. Like I would very much like a VR Isaiah Pacheco experience, just so I could just know what that looks like. Not what it feels like, because I don't want to feel it.
No. No. But we all know, hey, you have the sideline. Yeah, that's to my benefit.
Yeah,
it's not,
right.
Not to the defender's benefit. Like I kind of, I want everybody to stay healthy, but like it is one of the best things about football where it's like the defender's like, I got the angle and I got the second defender. He's called out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What are you doing?
Just step out. I'm offering you right now. Here's what I'm doing for both of us. A business decision for both of us. You're going out of bounds.
Yeah, I did my job. I got the angle on you. What?
I will basically stiff arm you gently out of bounds. We're just gonna slide out of bounds. We're both gonna survive for another.
Yeah.
What the? Who thought it? Where's his coach?
And then I'm gonna do you the most veteran respectful move. We're gonna acknowledge each other. I'm gonna tap you on the head.
Yep.
Good play. Good run, young fella. Good run.
Yep.
See you on the next snap. But instead, why are you trying to use the sideline of your benefit? It's my benefit.
Isaiah Pacheco is the running back of the modern era who should be allowed, if not forced, to play with one of those neck sheaths that Mike linebackers used to wear, who could not move laterally. That's what he needs.
The same sport that produces Bijan and produces Barry Sanders also is the same sport with the same position that produces Christian Okoye and Isaiah Pacheco. These are the same positions.
Yeah. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful sport.
It really is. It's stupid. It's amazing that like the sport can morph and evolve and do all these certain things, but then you just see one man cut another man, and you're just like, how did he not see that? Because no one could.
But he could. There was nothing he could do.
Nothing. There's nothing. That's just Packers falling all
you
over.
What his coach is gonna say to him when they're going through the film on that one? Nothing. Nothing. Because what was he supposed to do?
It sucks that they don't play the Falcons this year. I just want to see it in person one time, Lord.
You might have to just make a trip or something. I don't know what the closest they get is, but maybe we'll just wait. Hope he keeps it up for next year, and maybe the Falcons will have an adult at quarterback. I'm not sure because that offense could be fun, but right now it's
who Who do you have more trust in, Desmond Ridder or Justin Fields?
I have never heard Desmond Ridder talk. So, so him for now. I just don't like, I've just never heard him say anything
Yeah.
at all. I'm sure he has spoken. I'm guessing his voice is just fine. I've just never heard the man speak, I don't think.
Therefore, by rule,
So
you're in the Justin Fields category.
You know what? Both of them are on the right rosters because Justin Fields is who I would take if I was like, bleep it, I don't know what's going on. There's like, I'm just playing Madden on this team. Give me Justin Fields. And with Desmond Ridder, it's like, hey man, just continue being voiceless, faceless. Just the back of his jersey should just say quarterback. It shouldn't say Ridder. It should just say quarterback. Responsible quarterback.
Quarterback, yeah.
Hey, don't turn the ball over, and you guys are going to win 8 or 9 games. You're going to make the playoffs. Congratulations.
It's really true. I mean, look what Eric Bieniemy's doing, man.
Look at Eric Bieniemy.
Look at what Eric Bieniemy's doing, son. If you turn the ball over, I am going to choke you. Okay, choke you. Okay, all right. You see what our defense is doing? Hand the ball off. If you don't like the look, hand it off. If you don't like the look, eat the football. Take the sack. Take the sack.
But I've also seen Sam Howell hit a deep dot. Like look at Eric Bieniemy.
Look at Eric Bieniemy, y'all. Look at him.
It's beautiful. What might not be beautiful is what actually happens here on Sunday. Let's go to prediction mode. You always give your score first, and it's always exactly what I had written down. So I'm going to claim 27-10. That's where I'm at. I haven't asked Seth for a prediction. I don't know where he's at. I am being generous, giving the Bears a random fourth quarter touchdown. Something weird happens. I don't think this game is ever really stressful in any meaningful way.
It shouldn't be, but
it sure shouldn't be. But it could be.
But we all know this team. We all know the random games they play.
It's exactly right. And this is a 17-point win in my jotted down prediction is not betting advice because it would be so easy for the Chiefs to be up by 20 all game. Then the Bears late touchdown comes through and they hit 13. I think it's at 13.5 right now. Or the Chiefs win this by 10 because of a weird a muffed fumble by Justin Watson or a muffed punt by Justin Watson or something, and a late field goal, and the Bears cover. Like I kind of like the under in this game because I don't think the Bears are going to score, and I don't think the Chiefs are going to score enough on their own to hit the over. So that makes a lot of sense to me. But I'm in 27-10 territory right now. What do you think, Nate?
No, I understand where you're thinking. The Chiefs have not scored more than 20 points in a game. So that should be goal number one. Get more than 20 points. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to say Chiefs 30, Bears 14. Kind of in a similar situation to you, Josh. Maybe the Bears score a touchdown late in mop-up work as Spags sort of says, cover 4, keep everything in front of you. Like, if they want to go down the field, they can go down the field. Steve Spagnuolo has said on the record, we do not care about yards. You can get as many yards as you want. We don't care. I mean, we kind of care because we want to get off the field on third down, but all things considered, it's not one of the stats that they want to be evaluated on at the highest level of what their success rate is. But yeah, I think 30-14. Again, if there is ever a time for the offense to get in rhythm, to sort of show who they are capable of being throughout the course of the season, then yeah, go score 30 on a defense that, again, has trouble generating pressure on the quarterback, has trouble tackling in the open field, and might have the worst safety duo that I've seen in quite some time.
That part there, I think, is fascinating as the comments roll in of Chiefs fans fearing another Colts game. And I hear you guys. I do. That's why I'm leaving wiggle room for the Chiefs offense, because believe it or not, they're the side of the ball who has not proven it yet this year. I think I think this offense is going to be good. But I don't know that Andy Reid's going to bring anything special, or that Matt Nagy's going to bring anything special against the Bears. They shouldn't have to, and it should still be a solid win. But I don't know. I for the first time, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if the Chiefs offense is going to fully put their foot on the gas in this one. I don't know what that means. Hopefully that means it's just a quiet fourth quarter. And the Bears make up some garbage time points, and not that it's stressful at half, which I don't think it will be, but that's where we stand. Again, you've got a bunch you can go read right now from Nate on both sides of the ball in The Athletic. We'll talk about Trent McDuffie more on Monday, hopefully. I would love for him to give us some more reason to talk about him as well. Seth's got the film review up there. It was while we were still Times Ours, before we were Only Weird Games, that we talked about McDuffie a little bit last time. Your story about the draft process of how the Chiefs landed Trent McDuffie. I in that discussion, highly recommend that as required reading as well. Go back a little bit into the archives for Nate's story there. But without further ado, that's this edition of Only Weird Games. We'll have Seth back on Monday. Nothing weird getting in the way. Strange choice of words by me. And we'll have the full gang back to talk about whatever bizarre thing happens in Chiefs Bears. Nate, you take it from here.
We're gonna do a simple promotion right now. I've been wanting to do this really since the show began, but it's been a time. I found a little calendar mechanism. It has been a month since this book has been out.
Yes,
you should go buy it. It is. Hey,
I don't have a book in it. I just have the dust jacket because Renee has been reading it, and so the book is in her office. She has read more of this book so far than I have.
It is
and she loves it.
Oh, it's a fantastic book. I have the manuscript. Shout out to Russ Haddad and Mark Dent. Dear friends, we got to see them at one of their, publishing parties in Kansas City. What just happened to my voice? Anyway, I'm about
now you care?
Yeah, exactly. I'm 200 pages through this. It is fabulous. If you want to learn about my hometown, if you want to learn about everything that has to do with just the fortuitous events that all had to occur for Patrick Mahomes to be a part of the Kansas City Chiefs, I would encourage you to buy Kingdom Quarterback. It's been out for a month. The guys are having great success, but you should really. I have enjoyed listening to it in the car and reading it, in the conventional manner. But yeah, it's been a great book that I've wanted to give some time. I know Rustin talked with BJ around when the book was published. I believe it was on August 22nd, if my memory is correct. So this gives us a month. It's football season. Read Kingdom Quarterback.